obviously you can actually add the PNGs, you can add the pictures and things, and then make actual cards. But this is where we are going to leave it. And once we actually start the PyGame course itself, then we are going to learn about all those things. After learning object-oriented programming and all that kind of stuff. So let's create our racing game using PyGame, right? So now let me get rid of these. Let's just focus on our racing game. Okay, now we are going to be using something we call PyGame. So it's an inbuilt, it's like a game engine. It's not exactly a game engine, but it allows you to make games using what PyGame. Okay, now we are going to go in depth into this. We're going to make a whole tutorial. Okay, so this is just like an introduction at the end of our main Python course, and then we can later move into PyGame having had this experience. Okay, good. So first thing you want to do is to import PyGame. Okay, because that's what we are going to be using. You have to import it in order to be able to use it. Next thing you want to really do is you want to create the window. So you want to create your window that everything is going to be taking place in, because the PyGame we are about to make is going to be displaying inside of a window. So you want to get your window size down and all those kind of stuff. Okay, so here's what we want to do. We want to initialize PyGame. So we say PyGame.init. That's going to help us to initialize the whole thing, initialize PyGame. Now we need to think about two parameters for our window, for our screen. Okay, and that's our width and our height. I'm going to explain this in detail when we start the course. So I'm going to be explaining in detail in the actual PyGame course, but bear with me. This could get very long if we try to do that. Okay, so we say 500 and then we say 700. Okay, so as you saw, I've already made a game. This was due to some tests that I have conducted. Okay, when you're building, you might have to play around with some of the figures and see what works best for you. So we want a width of about 500 and then want a height of 700. Now, since the height is longer, you can think of how it will be. So let's see an S24 screen, like the vertical part is going to be longer. Okay, that's what we are dealing with. Then what we want to do is we want to focus on our screen. Okay, we want to focus on our screen. So we can say our screen is equal to, now we use our PyGame. Now PyGame has something it calls display. Okay, we want to set the display mode. So we say display dot set mode, like this. Good. Now what do we want to display on our screen? We want to combine our width we just made over here, and then our height to get our display. Okay, good. So if we look at the set mode, I think what's in the brackets also has to have brackets. See if that makes any sense. So let me just keep this in brackets. Okay, then with that you have been able to deal with the screen. Now also something we can do is we go PyGame again, and we want to go to our display again, once again, but this time we are not setting mode, we are setting, let me see, our caption. Okay, so we set our caption. Let me see, which caption do I want? Let's just call it racing game, like this. Okay, so we've been able to set our display mode, our screen parameters, and then the window itself, and then this is what we are going to have. Okay, so that's a good starting point. What I want to do is I want to create a game loop. Okay, now if you have been following the course, you should be familiar with the game loops. So this game loop is for us to be able to create, like, should I say, a quick event, okay, and also to just keep things running over and over again. Because think about it, a racing game, cars need to keep coming, but almost any other game. Okay, so let's just make the gaming loop. While true, you know what, for more control, let me keep a variable here. Let's call it running, and let me just set it to true, like this. Okay, and then we say while running, like this here. I think this is better. Okay, let's do it this way. Now for events in PyGame, again, now PyGame has events, I think. Good. And I want to get the specific event you are talking about. Good. So PyGame works on something called events. Okay, so for all the events, if it's a quit event, so let's say if event dot, so if event dot type like this is equal to pygame dot quit. So if it's a quit event, like I was saying, then we want to set running to false so that we can just break everything we are doing. Again, that's some of the essence of the game loop. All right, yeah. So if we are able to set it to false, then it is part of the essence of having what, a game loop. Okay, good. Then finally, what you want to do is you want to do screen dot fill. Okay, now I want to add some, I don't know the specific color, but let's just do 50 50 50. It's, I don't know, some slate gray-ish color. Let me just, yeah. So at the end of this, ideally you should be able to display a window, like I said, a phone-like window. Let me run this. Hopefully we do not have any errors, and then we'll be able to have our window displayed. I think this is just like this. If my memory serves me right, this should also be double. Okay, let me just do that, and hopefully we don't get any errors. Okay, yeah. So this is just a color value. Okay, this is just a color value. Yeah, good. So as you can see, this is our game window. Okay, so we are going to be making the rest of the racing game. Everything about the racing game is going to be in the confines of this window. And if you quite remember, I told you we made the height longer simply because we want this part to be longer so that we have more room for the racing game itself at the top there. Okay, so width of 500 and height of 700. Yeah, it just uses to kind of visualize, and then you'll be able to be fine with PyGame like that. Yeah.